Oh, big elbow DC! Oh my God, Daniel Cormier just knocked out Steve Miocic is completely unconscious. The referee is bringing him up. Daniel Cormier is the heavyweight champion. Are you fucking kidding me?
MMA with friends, yeah. MMA with friends, we punching with the wind. You gotta understand, we floating like a bee and stinging like Ali. You understand this ring, get knocked out in them things. We undefeated, we the champs of the world. We really taking over, not worried about no girls. And you can understand how it really gotta be. And when we kick that fist in, you gon' really see, huh? Hey, put your heart and your soul in this game. When you step in this ring, don't be a lame. Everybody destined for clout, mad fame. I don't understand, but we boxing in the rain. Boxing in the rain, knocking in the field. Yeah, I got that Snoop flow, I gotta stay ill. Everybody thinking about everything else, but when we in this ring, you gon' beg for some help. Cause I MMA with friends, we did it all again. We back in this game, we back just to win. We came to take over, got a kick-ass theme song on the way for show. A kick-ass game, and we really got the flow. Yeah, we boxing out. If you understand, then you know just what I'm talking about. And we not trying to lose, trying to really win. MMA with friends, yeah, we did that shit again. And yeah, I'm back like I never left. And I'm back cause I don't need no book off of stuff to tell me where I'm really, really at. MMA with friends, that's how I act.
Oh my God, Masvidal, it's all over! Package, Masvidal! It's like you can knock the fuck out! Jorge Masvidal just knocked the world!
Hot boy.
That was incredible!
You just possibly the fastest knockout in the history of mixed martial arts! Oh, big elbow DC! Oh my God, Daniel Cormier just knocked out Steve Miocic! Steve Miocic is completely unconscious! DC! The referee is bringing him up! Daniel Cormier is the heavyweight champion! Are you fucking kidding me?
with friends, yeah. MMA with friends, we punching with the ring. You gotta understand, we floating like a bee and stinging like Ali. You understand this ring, get knocked out in them things. We undefeated, we the champs of the world. We really taking over, not worried about no girls. And you can understand how it really gotta be. And when we kick that fist in, you gon' really see, huh? Hey, put your heart and your soul in this game. When you step in this ring, don't be a lame. Everybody destined for clout and fame. I don't understand, but we boxing in the rain. Boxing in the rain, knocking in the field. Yeah, I got that Snoop flow, I gotta stay ill. Everybody thinking about everything else, but when we in this ring, you gon' beg for some help. Cause I MMA with friends, we did it all again. We back in this game, we back just to win. We came to take over, got a kick-ass main song on the way for show. A kick-ass game, and we really got the flow. Yeah, we boxing out, and you understand, then you know just what I'm talking about. And we not trying to lose, trying to really win. MMA with friends, yeah, we did that shit again. And yeah, I'm back like I never left. And I'm back cause I don't need no book off of stuff to tell me where I'm really, really at. MMA with friends, that's how I act. And I'm back cause I don't
Oh my
need
God,
no book
Masvidal, it's all over!
where I'm really, really at.
It's like you can knock the fuck out!
Hot boy. Hot boy.
What's up, everybody? Fights with Friends here, UFC 242 preview. Man, there is so much crazy stuff going on in MMA right now in the UFC, in boxing. I mean, it's been a while. We need to talk. We need to talk before we get this event going. I turn my fan off because it's probably going to be kind of loud. Well, but yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Let's start out with Scott Coker coming out and saying that Chris Cyborg is now not only the highest paid female fighter in MMA today, but he made the claim that she is the highest paid MMA fighter in the history of MMA. And we all know back in the day, a blonde girl named Ronda Rousey made quite a bit of money. Only female... Jeez, I'm going to try to fix the light here. Only female that could ever sell 1 million pay-per-views by herself. I mean, whatever you think about her, I know not everybody loves her. I know there's mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings myself, but she made a lot of money for the UFC. I don't think Scott Coker is paying Chris Cyborg that kind of money. I think maybe... So I'm trying to block out some sunlight here. That's better. I think maybe show money. What was listed for Ronda for show money, he's matching. But if he's paying Chris Cyborg more than Ronda made back in the day, which is estimated to be somewhere around $10 million for some of those fights, I would question his commitment to the rest of the organization. Because, I mean, they only had to beat out PFL and ONE FC. And I don't think those guys were paying $8-10 million. So I'm thinking whatever the UFC was paying her before, he might, he paid that, maybe a couple more dollars. That's about it. And the UFC certainly wasn't paying her Ronda money. What's going on? Peter Ordinary, Izzy, Zoltan, Nigel, Pulse Reloaded in the house. Man, it seems like forever since Khabib Nurmagomedov fought Conor McGregor and jumped into that crowd, and we coined the phrase Eagle Bear Smash. And he is a very big star. Very big star now, and especially over there in Abu Dhabi. I mean, it's huge. He pulled up at the open workout in a Rolls Royce, sunglasses on. He is styling and profiling. I don't know who Dabu77 is, but good luck to him, I guess. What does he do? What does he do, Zoltan? Is that a joke, or is that like an actual big YouTuber? I didn't see one. I was working during it. I'm working too damn much. But pouring that first beer of the day, that sound, that beautiful sound, that does make it a little better. Oh, all the current news, like a Philip DeFranco kind of thing. Oh, okay. He was the guy that went to Ferguson Streets during that protest. Yeah, I don't pay enough attention to that stuff, I guess. I didn't see that at all. So I'm not trying to claim ignorance. I guess I just am ignorant on that. I listen to way too many MMA podcasts, but that Hopefully helps me do a better show here, since that's all we talk about. What's going on, Pulse Resurrected? What did I think of your picks? I know I seen them. You picked Khabib, right? I think I had all the same picks as you. I believe I had all the same picks as you. I'll tell you what. If I was able to bet right now, and unfortunately, I guess I'm not here in Washington State, I'm being completely blocked out. Yeah, so I'm being completely blocked out. So Washington State has now made it a Class C felony, supposedly. I don't believe them that they're actually going to prosecute somebody for that, because they never have, and I don't think that they will. I think they're just trying to scare people. But for betting online, but I did try to go to bet online and add money to my account, and it said I was blocked. It said I had to get Bitcoin. It said the only way I could bet was through Bitcoin. What's going on, Experiencer? Khabib, Felder, Blades, Islam, and Mirabach for the win. Yes, I had all those, although I think Blades is going to have a bigger challenge than the odds would say from checking out his opponent. Excuse me. Well, and that's the thing, too. We're going to go through the Bellator card. That's going on tomorrow as well. We're going to be able to stream both of them. And I'm sure they're going to talk about Chris Cyborg. I'm sure she's going to be in the crowd tomorrow. She got to be in the crowd tomorrow. Scott Coker, I'm going to get that out of the way. Let's talk about her. Scott Coker said she is the highest paid MMA fighter, past and present. And she will fight for a championship right away. And honestly, I hope he didn't overpay. I hope he didn't pay more than he had to for her, because they have to rebuild that 155-pound division in Bellator. Benson Henderson is in his decline. There's not really much of anybody else there. Since they lost Eddie Alvarez, they lost, they have Michael Chandler, and that's pretty much it. No more Will Brooks. Everybody's gone over there. I would rebuild that. I think there's going to be tons of free agents in that loaded 155-pound division in the UFC that Bellator could go after. Secret stuffs. I like it. Scammers desperate to sell their digital cryptos and get real assets because they're late on the gold boat. Yeah, I'm not getting into the crypto thing. I'm not sold yet. If I miss out, I miss out. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Sometimes you're going to miss out, but you can't just jump on every, new thing that comes along that looks like a good investment, because pretty much every single thing like that has ever come along that seems too good to be true is no longer around. You live long enough, you kind of see these things. Cerrone over Gaethje, huh? I really like Cerrone, but I can't agree with you on that pick. Yep, Taiwan Eric Claxton by Taiwan Claxton's a beast. That's going to be good. Is Roy or Gegard Bellator's biggest star? Well, it's probably Rory now, because Gegard, especially in the States, because Gegard's, for one thing, he's so quiet, and another thing, he just lost. He lost to Rafael Lovato Jr. A couple weeks back. And while we're speaking about Bellator, just real quick, I don't know how many of you knew, the last UFC, after the Stipe Cormier UFC 241 event, there was a Ryzen event, and Kyoji Horiguchi, who is the bantamweight champion in Bellator and Ryzen, got knocked out. It was a non-title bout, but I mean, come on. When you're fighting and you're the champion and you lose, you're no longer the champion. You can't consider yourself a champion after you've been beat. I don't care if you can say it was a non-title fight or whatever, but you know you lost your championship. Yeah, Gegard might be past his prime. He's not that old. I want to say he's only like 33 or 34. But it really depends on the fighter, how far back they started fighting. Now people are talking about Congo. Congo's 44 years old. He's either 43 or 44. I just looked this up, and he's looked really good. I think he has a really good chance at becoming heavyweight champion tomorrow. Yeah, but Masasi's not in the UFC anymore, though. So let's talk just a little bit about what's going on with that makeshift stadium over there. Yeah, I think they should have paid him better for sure. Cyborg loses to Julia Budd, but Bellator would have rolled the dice and lost. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That would be a huge, huge loss. I mean, Coker bet the boat on Cyborg. He really did. And in a lot of ways, I think Cyborg losing was actually very, very good for her career. Because she got more attention. When she's winning, it's like, oh, okay, Cyborg fought. She knocked some lady out. Oh, how long did it last? Oh, 2.5 minutes or whatever. She beat the crap out of somebody. She dominated all 3 rounds, whatever. Same old song and dance. And something different actually has to happen sometimes for people to pay attention. And that difference, if it wasn't for that one social media mistake, which was one of the biggest social media mistakes in the history of all sports by her team, if it wasn't for that, she was starting to get a lot of people on her side. The whole thing with Dana, she was off. I was liking the fact that she was off overseas building houses for the homeless. That was great, but that was just too big of a mistake to let him get away with. And I agreed with Dana, saying, hey, I don't want any more of this noise. And I mean, honestly, that's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. If I was in Dana White's position, I'm doing the same damn thing. I'm saying I don't want any more of this noise. But Cyborg for the win. What's up, Mo Scream? What's going on, man? Yes, absolutely. Mo Scream of Mo Scream TV. I think he's going to be calling in here in a few minutes on Skype. I'm going to send you my Skype information. If you guys haven't checked him out, you got to check him out over on that channel. Dude is very exciting and knowledgeable about MMA, and I enjoy talking to him. You got Julia Budd against Cyborg, or you just got Bud, Pulse? I think he's just got Bud. But, that's the thing as far as Cyborg. I think she beats anybody over there in Bellator, though, for the most part. And then we get into UFC with what's going on with that makeshift stadium over there. Abu Dhabi, you just can't build over there. They're all building on sand. And they had a horrible situation last time with the stadium. This time, I guess there was water leaking as late as Thursday. I have not gotten an update since Thursday. And I know I got a lot of blowback from a lot of people on that video this morning. Some people saying fake news, whatever. It all came from Ariel Helwani's special on ESPN. It was on ESPN. It was on ESPN Radio. podcast, everything. I mean, it was all totally legit news, and it sounds like they're going to have a really hard time cooling that down, and that could favor Dustin Poirier. They make islands. Yep, they can't. Oh, I can't wait either, man. This is one of those ones. It's just, Khabib is a bigger star than ever. I guess he got paid. They're saying he's going to get paid a lot more for this fight than he did the Conor fight. And the only surprising part about, or the only part that doesn't surprise me about that is that, yeah, he's champion now. Man, I'm starting to, I don't know if I'm leaning towards Dustin. Sorry, guys, I got a weird sunspot thing going on here in the background there. And, sorry, get up there, but that's, okay, hopefully that'll fix it. Got the sun setting right in my eyes. Aloha snack bar. Oh, Jesus. Jesus, Zoltan. But I actually wanted to bet on Dustin today. Not that I'm completely leaning towards Dustin, but the odds, you can get like $345 back for every Benjamin you put down on Dustin. And if they're having a hard time cooling that stadium down, even if it's 80 degrees, they are screwed. And I heard a lot of you guys saying, oh, even if they have it under a tent, haven't you heard of air conditioning? Smart, Zoltan. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to put 150 down on Dustin, but I can't now. I'm completely blocked by everybody in Washington State unless I have Bitcoin, and I'm not going to do that. So I've got to travel to Oregon next time or something, which I plan on doing for UFC Alberta, because there's a lot of odds that are just like wacky. I mean, literally just wacky. I was going to put 165, which was my monthly ad revenue, which is usually what I bet in a month. And it was 165 to get 735 back, I want to say. I mean, it was a great return. And usually I don't even bet on big underdogs. I don't. I'll parlay favorites, and that's how I win most of my bets. And I've been pretty accurate. I've only lost one bet all year. But yeah, I would bet Dustin there. So here's the deal: when you have a tent that's air conditioned like this, if that's what it ends up being, I don't know. I'm not gonna claim that I have people on the ground there in Abu Dhabi, but this is what I'm hearing from Ariel Helwani, and he's there. All right, I am Mo Scream. Thank you, Trevi. What's up, Trevi McTrev? Good to see you in here, sir. I would bet Dustin just because the odds are, that's ridiculous odds. It's ridiculous odds. If he was not a big underdog, I would not bet him. I still lean towards Khabib, but I think it's very close right now. I think it's very close. So I went to a boxing match in Yakima in Eastern Washington years back, and it was about 90-some degrees there, and they had one of these tents that they're talking about. They had one of these outside fights that, in theory, sounds awesome. Oh, we're going to get to sit outside and we're going to go to watch fights? This is going to be freaking awesome. And I'm sure most of you know who Antonio Tarver is. Of course, he's well known now for knocking out Roy Jones Jr. and Roy Jones Jr.'s first real loss. First guy to ever beat Roy Jones Jr. I seen Antonio Tarver get knocked out by Eric Magic Man Harding that night. Now, most of you probably don't know who Eric Harding is, and that's probably because he really didn't ever beat anybody outside of Antonio Tarver. But he hit him with a body shot when he was extremely, extremely dehydrated, and got the knockout there. Paul McCartney versus Brian Wilson. What are you talking about? Not sure what. Like, Paul McCartney's not like fighting. He's like 70 years old. Khabib didn't want to do post-workout Q&A points. Too bad, weight cut. Well, he didn't do an open workout, it sounds like, at all. He showed up in his Rolls Royce with his sunglasses on, looking like a superstar. Bud Light. Just drinking some Bud Light. If I'm going to drink something that I'm going to have like a few beers and be coherent, and I don't want to get too deep, then I'll go with like a Bud Light or a Michelob Ultra or something like that. Oh, Music Rap was in the 60s. I hear you. I didn't even realize they were rivals. But check your DMs on Twitter, Mo Scream. And we'll get you on here if you want. If we get time. But that one, it's so crazy. Let's pull that up, though. I'm going to pull that up. Khabib versus Poirier. And then we're going to talk about Felder versus Edson Barboza as well. That's an incredible matchup. Well worth being a co-main event. For sure. Sorry about that. Khabib Nurmagomedov, of course, 27-0. Dustin Poirier, 24-5. 5'10" to 5'9", so Khabib's actually an inch taller. Dustin's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. Leg reach, basically even. All right, Mo Scream. I will go on and check that out here in just a minute. What I really want to look at is the takedown accuracy and takedown defense. I think takedown defense is going to be very important in this one. Obviously, now finishing fights, look at this. Look at this for Dustin. 76% finishing rate, and you say, oh, Khabib's not that much behind him, 62%. Most of those finishes are before he got in the UFC or against lesser opponents. When he's fought superstars, he really has not finished the fight. And as you see, average fight time, almost the entire fight. 13 minutes and 56 seconds for Khabib. 8 minutes, 55 seconds for Dustin. That means also he's used to going those 5 rounds, though. Significant strikes. This is a bit misleading, I think. 5.59 for Dustin. He's a very, very busy fighter. As I've said before, he throws a lot of combinations, and a lot of them out of the clinch and after sprawls, which I think if he ends up beating Khabib Nurmagomedov, I think it's going to be off one of these wild scrambles, possibly, where he lands a big shot. and at least hurts him. I think that would have to play a big part. If it wasn't the finish, that would have to play a big part for Dustin to end up getting the win. I got Khabib by submission. Dustin's pretty hard to submit. Khabib is a 1-7 vodka with garden Brazilian guava. Ooh, that sounds pretty delicious. Significant strikes, 49%. Again, quite deceptive. Why is this deceptive? You guys are smart. You guys all know. The reason this is deceptive, this 4.29 is kind of, as Khabib would say, number one bullshit. Because these are little pitter-pat ground and pound shots. A lot of these, the majority of these, are ground shots. Defense, Khabib gets hit a lot less. That's because he's on the ground. He does get out of the way of a lot of shots, 66% defense. That is very high, very, very high. Very high. That is a very good striking defense to 56% for Dustin, which is not bad. Now, takedown averages, obviously, Khabib way higher. He goes for a lot more. Over 5 to not even 2 for Dustin per fight. That's not really Dustin's fight. Now look at the takedown accuracy, and it's very close. It's very close. Now I would say that this is a bit deceptive in favor of Dustin, though, because Khabib goes for so many more shots, and a lot of the times Dustin ends up going for a shot. It's when he's gotten a fighter hurt or it's in the middle of a combination. So he's taking higher percentage attempts on top of it. He's not the wrestler Khabib knows. I don't think anybody thinks he is. Takedown defense, this could be a problem, obviously, for Dustin. 84%. That's absolutely stellar. 69% for Dustin. Submission average, much higher for Dustin, though. He is a high-level submission artist. I still think Dustin has to go for takedowns. And I think he probably gives up round 1, and he should probably be okay to even give up round 2, as long as he gets what he needs to get. Round 1, just get through the blitz. Don't waste a lot of energy trying to get up when Khabib Nurmagomedov is on top of you. That's the one part I think Conor had going for him, that he was doing well with. But I would start going for takedowns. If I'm Dustin, I'm mixing in my strikes, I'm mixing in my punches and my takedowns. I'm being very, very sparing with my kicks. Dustin kicks a lot, and his kicks get caught a lot. And you watched his fight a few years ago against Jim Miller, who is not, he's not the fighter Khabib is. And Jim Miller was able to catch a lot of these shots, a lot of these kicks. One of my top Beatles albums, well, of course, the White Album. Sgt. Pepper's. And I'd have to look at the albums in front of me. Abbey Road, sorry. That would be the other one. The later Beatles. The ones where they do, the 8 days a week and the love songs and stuff. I was not as much into that. I was more into like the, Octopus's Garden, My Guitar Gently Weeps, Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Colby will murk Khabib. I think Khabib is pound for pound best in the UFC. Well, it's hard to argue. None of us can really argue against any of that right now, because he hasn't lost. You have a guy that hasn't lost. It's pretty hard to argue anything. Oh, and I'm sorry, guys. That was supposed to be transitioned over the entire time. I thought we were all looking at the same thing. And my OBS didn't transfer over. So I apologize. So there's the finishing rates I was looking at here. Significant strikes, takedowns. Like underdog bets. Never like Jim Miller. Don't know. All right, sounds good, Mo Scream. I'll get back with you. So another night for Mo Scream, but yeah, definitely check out his channel. Feel free to put a link up for your channel too. He's a really cool guy. But there are significant strikes, way on top for Dustin, like I said, and he's just a better overall striker. But he's going to have to catch Khabib somewhere in here. Let's look at Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder here for a minute, though. If Khabib wins one or two more times, for sure GSP will come to challenge him. I think GSP is coming to challenge him for sure. Acid rock period, yeah. It was entertaining, man. I like it. Oh, Rubber Soul was great, too, yeah. I give Dustin a fair shot. What's up, Scott? He's legit, but he may not get a fair shake on the card, so he may need a finisher dominant performance. That's definitely... That is definitely a good chance that he has a hard time getting a decision. Absolutely. I'm not the biggest Beach Boys fan, Trevi, but I actually did see them live. Not that I don't like them. I just don't like them near as much as the Beatles. Their music's a little too happy for me. I seen them in Redding, California. What would that have been? Oh my God. Now I wish I wouldn't have said that because now I sound super old. Like 20, 21 years ago. I think I was like 19 or 20. And we got actually one of my wife's friends was friends with the people that own the stadium and stuff, and we had backstage passes and stuff, and I didn't really care. I ended up leaving to go to work. My wife ended up going back, but I mean they were old. They were old by that time. And not all the original members. But Paul Felder versus Edson Barboza. This is a rematch, of course. Edson Barboza caught Paul Felder with a really bad low blow in their first fight. I feel it was his first loss. I feel that Paul Felder is on his way up. I'm not so sure Edson Barboza is. He may even be on his way down. I think that had to have been kind of demoralizing, losing to Justin Gaethje at his own game. That being said, Felder better still be practicing checking some leg kicks. Because Edson Barboza, 4 strikes per minute, very hard strikes. He also absorbs a lot, though. As you can see, even though his defense is 60%, so he is a counter striker. He does let people throw a lot, which is going to work in Paul Felder's favor. Might work in his favor. Does work in his favor. Paul Felder probably not going to be getting a lot of takedowns since his takedown accuracy is even way worse than Barboza's. Neither one of these guys are takedown guys. Felder's takedown defense is fairly horrible, but I don't think Barboza's going to try to take him down at all anyways. And on the main card, Islam Makhachev versus Davy Ramos. Islam Makhachev, a lot has been talked about this guy coming out of Russia at 155 pounds. He is a very good fighter, and as much as I would like to, I don't give Davy Ramos a real big shot to win that fight. I think Islam Makhachev, I think he takes that fairly easily. You look at the significant strikes. Ramos, Not an accurate striker at all. He absorbs. He doesn't absorb a lot, but look at the absorption on Islam Makhachev. Just 0.82 shots per minute with a stellar 64% defense. Both these guys getting quite a few takedowns. These are both really good takedown averages. 4.33, especially stellar. 3.28 is really good as well. But then look at the takedown accuracy. 86% for Makhachev. Ramos just 58%. And then takedown defense for Makhachev. I'm not sure why Ramos isn't on there. I know he has been taken down, but 100%. Never been taken down. And I don't think Ramos is going to be the first guy to do it. So I think Islam Makhachev comes away with that one fairly easily. I got Paul too. What's going on, Mario? Clean, 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 Mario. No, I'm just kidding. All right, we're on the same page, Zoltan. We often are. Don't like Islam. Was an asshole at the weigh-ins. I didn't watch the weigh-ins, but I'll have to check it out. Curtis Blades versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. 20-4 versus 11-2. Curtis and Blades, obviously, he's the top of the food chain in the heavyweight division. Only guy he's ever lost to was Francis Ngannou. Lost to him twice, but I think he gets this one. He is the biggest favorite on the card, which almost makes you want to throw a little bit of money on Shamil, because I think Shamil definitely has a chance. I don't think Shamil's a bad bet at all, Zoltan. Personally, I wouldn't bet on Ramos, but I'm just going by the stats we're looking at. I honestly don't remember a whole lot about Ramos. I didn't really study him a whole lot, so maybe you got a little more knowledge on him than I do. But Curtis Blades, for a wrestler, he throws a lot of shots, 3.71 per minute. Shamil, he throws 2.44. Not horrible. Significant strikes, both of these guys. Curtis just over 50. Shamil well under 50%. Neither one of them absorb a whole lot. Shamil's about even in that. Curtis is almost 2-1 in what he absorbs, but a lot of that's going to be because of those ground shots, kind of like Khabib. Defense, striking defense, 60%. That's pretty stellar. Blades, 55% defense, about average, but he's had a very, very high level of opponents. Now look at the grappling. 6.79 for Curtis Blades, especially for a heavyweight. That is absolutely insane. That is off the charts. That might be the highest in the UFC, I think, as far as takedown. Travie McTrav with the $5 donation. Thank you, sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Greatly appreciated. Blades too predictable. What's going on, MMA or Nada? I'm doing not much, man. I'm doing good. Just looking forward to some great fights tomorrow. Usually when two wrestlers that stay standing and I see Shamil landing a bomb. That is true. When it's two wrestlers, it usually does stay standing. I like that, though. But look at Curtis Blades' takedown defense. I never really noticed this. I'm guessing not a lot of people try to take him down. But 25%. That's horrendous. So I don't know how many times he's actually been taken down. I don't remember him being taken down a lot. But that is a horrendous defense. Takedown defense for Shamil, 66%. That's not bad at all. That's well above average. It's not absolutely stellar, but it's well above average. Sorry for that. And of course, tomorrow we also have Bellator. First, I got to talk a little bit about boxing. I did miss the boxing last week because I was doing. I was out with the family. I had a pre-planned date, I guess, with my wife. We went to Seattle, did a few things, and ended up going and getting some great Brazilian food over at Rodizio there. I think that's how you say it. It was absolutely amazing. But pound for pound, one of the top pound for pound, Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, Luke Campbell, he fought well. If you guys watched the fight, anybody that watched it over there on ESPN Plus, he fought very well. But Vasily Lomachenko knocked him down, sealed it in the 11th round, and then I thought that what the judges had for scoring, I thought it was a lot closer than what the judges had it. Didn't surprise me because I knew they wanted Lomachenko to win, but it was a much closer fight than that. I was watching it on my phone, actually, as my wife drove up to Seattle. Yes, UFC starts at 8 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. Well, the main card starts at 11. Let's see when. I'll give you a time on when the actual card starts here. I had it up. By the way, for that kind of thing, for start times, quick results and stuff like that, Tapology is the site. They are very helpful, super accurate. So the main card, I already know that. The main card starts at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific. Prelims will be on ESPN. Early prelims will be on ESPN Plus, Fight Pass, and the Versus Network. And those early prelims, you're going to want to check in because for some reason they buried Nordine Talib and Bilal Muhammad on those early prelims. And you guys are educated. As you guys know, those are two very, very good fighters. What's up, Rob Iman? You are correct, sir. Main card 12, where you're at. It's 11 where I'm at. 2 o'clock on the East Coast. I don't know, 11. Yeah. On the old ESPN pay-per-view. Have y'all seen how big Anthony Rumble Johnson looks? Dude looks as... Yeah, Anthony Rumble Johnson, not really a secret at this point, but anybody that hasn't heard it, he is officially coming back. I don't know who he fights first, but I know he's always wanted to fight John Jones. He actually said not that long ago, that he would only come back for a fight against John Jones at heavyweight. John Jones being pressured more than ever to fight at heavyweight. He said that he prefers to stay at light heavyweight, but he also said, show me the money, which just means he just wants to get paid. And I don't blame him. John's been around for a long time. He's beat a lot of good fighters. He's basically undefeated. He deserves to get paid. Rumble looks like a Cabbage Patch doll. Oh my God. That's great, Mario. Oh, wouldn't we all, Rob Iman? Wouldn't we all? That would be awesome. Be watching early tomorrow. Watching one championship earlier this morning. How was that? This one? I heard that they were having some kickboxing, some Thai boxing with the 4-ounce gloves. I wish I would have been able to watch that. Probably wants a money fight. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for him to fight again too. Oh, he definitely will get a money fight. I'm curious who he comes back against first. I don't think that they will feed a Hardy to him right away, but I mean, maybe. A lot of people would like that fight. I think Rumble Johnson versus Elephant Seal, I might pay for it. I want to see him. I'd like to see him against Ngannou. What about Anthony Rumble Johnson? You get a couple of fights under his belt. You have him fight, the Shamil guy. If Curtis gets past him, which I think he will. Or you have him fight an aging like Ben Rothwell. Have him get a few fights under his belt. He's been away for a while. I'm not saying, feed him tomato cans. But feed him some of these Andrei Arlovsky, Alistair Overeem, the aging heavyweights. Feed him one of those guys. Build him up 3-4 fights. I think he could have a great fight with Francis Ngannou because they both can land bombs, and then Rumble has incredible wrestling. So if he's still flexible enough, if he's able to pressure Francis with the wrestling, and then even if he can't get a lot of those takedowns, because Francis's takedown defense has improved some, he's going to create a lot of scrambles where I think he may end up landing a big shot. Jesus, Peter. Rumble versus Southern Fried Chicken. Ngannou is too much for... Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, 3 or 4 fights underneath him, and then he could fight a Francis Ngannou or a Stipe Miocic. That's a great fight. That's a great comeback fight. Derek Lewis versus Rumble Johnson. I think I would almost say the odds would be pretty even on that one, given how long Rumble's been out. Not fair for Francis. Francis should be next for the belt. I don't have a problem with Francis getting the next shot. I don't have a problem if he doesn't get the next one and he gets one after that, though. Because, he only has 2 wins in a row since losing back-to-back. So, he's saying, I deserve this shot, give me this shot or whatever. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan. If you've won, talk to me when you've won 14 in a row like Tony Ferguson. I know heavyweights is much different. If he wins 1, especially 2 more, if he had won 4 in a row the way he has been, I say it's a robbery if you don't give him the shot. Being 2-2 in your last 4, I don't think it's a robbery if he doesn't get the next shot. That's just me. I know he's beaten great guys. He beat, Junior Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez. Well, 3 in a row. And Curtis Blades. So he is right there. Man, maybe 1 more. But I definitely wouldn't have a problem with him getting the shot now either. I just don't think it would be a travesty for him not to. Volkov versus Johnson, that would be very interesting. Mother offer, I'm not sure what that is. But Rumble versus Brock Lesnar seems fair. I like that. Brock Lesnar still is not retired. He's still in the USADA testing pool. For those of you that don't know. And I find that interesting. I'm not even sure that I want to see Brock fight, but I guess surprising. I'm surprised that he's still in the USADA pool because WWE's throwing so much money at him. Why would he want to get back in there and fight? And then you have the new pay-per-view system where these guys aren't getting paid as much. He's not going to make as much pay-per-view revenue. What about Shab? Hard of getting fed another Cannon Dan Ho. Oh, does he have a fight scheduled already? I didn't even see that. Dan Henderson's already got a fight? Or not Dan Henderson. Greg Hardy. You said Dan Ho. That must have been what got Dan Henderson on my mind. Blasphemy. Yeah, he lost to Stipe and then he lost to Derek Lewis right afterwards in that stinker of a fight. I know a lot of people will say that wasn't the real Francis, and it wasn't, to be fair. But he fought a horrible fight and he lost. That's a fight that's on the cards, and Francis Ngannou, he lost that fight, and he fought poorly. I don't think that makes it better that he lost because that both guys fought poorly. I think it's awesome what he did. Went over to France, went and regrouped, got that mental coaching that seems to really be helping him. He seems to have his confidence back. It's very rare for a guy to get knocked out like that, come back, and with that type of hesitancy, that's some of the worst hesitancy I've ever seen from any heavyweight. The way that he refused to engage against Derek Lewis. I mean, he seemed so scared. And then he came back. He just came back as a murderer. Murked Curtis Blades, Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez, all back to back to back. That is very impressive. Fighters shouldn't know who they're fighting until the bell rings. Oh, Jesus. I love it. That's the way it was in judo, though, Mario. And here's the thing with judo, especially in Washington State, but we had to weigh in the morning of. When we were over in Canada, I loved fighting in Canada because we got to weigh in the night before, and that was awesome. In Washington State, we would weigh in at 7 a.m., and the first match was scheduled for 7:05. And you did not know when you were fighting. You would weigh in, and then they would randomize everything, and you would go over and look at the board, and you would find your opponent. And you might be fighting in 5 minutes. You might be fighting in 15 or 20. But if you're not fighting in 5 minutes, you really don't know when you're fighting because you're fighting the winner or, the winner of this match over here, the loser of this match, or when this match is over. And I think it was great mental training to just be sitting there knowing that you could be called up to fight at any moment. I mean, you'd be sit there for 15 minutes, and you could have something to eat or drink, maybe even 30. And then I had matches where I went out there, fought, and then 3-4 minutes later, your name's being called. You don't even see it on the thing. Your name's called, and that's how you know. You don't even want to run to the bathroom. You didn't even want to run to the bathroom. If you did, you ran quickly and, try to tell your sensei, hey, I'm running to the bathroom really quick. I hope I don't miss my match. Tell him I am running on my way. Start announcing it. By the time they announce it, if you're not there to bow, you're disqualified. So, but you better just have to pee, or you're gonna have some issues. Which is all you ever did have to do when you were cutting weight. But yeah, no, that's a different kind of thing. Jeremy Stevens should declare, you know my name, fighter versus Conor. I heard you say that, Peter. I like that. I said that a long time ago, actually, that he should call out Conor. Cejudo should fight Cyborg. Oh, Jesus. I think Cruz is going to get that fight quickly. I think he'll get it before... I hope he gets it before Faber. They may throw Faber in there just because they know he's only back for a very short time. But I really want to see... I really want to see Cruz versus Cejudo. Cruz is such a smart guy, too. Oh, yeah. Dominic Cruz is really using his platform to egg Cejudo on, too. Yara's Mexican judo, because judo know when the elbow is coming. Yep. That was the craziest elbow in the history of the UFC. I gotta say, just have a bucket in the corner and pee between rounds. Oh, that's great. Cejudo versus Edgar. Well, Edgar just lost to Max, but he is going down. And now there's talks of Edgar, and I know nobody wants to hear Conor's name, but, there has been talk. Conor said he would definitely like Frankie Edgar to be his first fight back, and Frankie Edgar supposedly, I guess, said that he wants to fight Conor McGregor, to be able to tell his kids that he fought Conor McGregor. That's what Conor says anyways. I am not quite sure he said it quite like that. But DC and Nagano are the only two possibilities for title shots at this point. I don't think John or Brock are likely. I would love to see John Jones come up and watch. I don't want to see Brock come back and fight for the title. I'm okay with seeing Brock in a lot of matchups, but not to come straight into a title shot. That's not fair to anybody. Need to see Mike versus Dutch guy. Well, it's supposed to be in 12 days, but he's not got back to me. I sent him a contract. I emailed him a contract. I've Skype called him several times. He's kind of ghosting me at the moment. I have a feeling that he's going to... He thinks I'm going to slack off. He thinks I'm going to drink too much beer like I am right now. I have been training. These are the first 2 beers I've had in a while. I'm in training camp, guys, and I'm at weight as well. And my cardio is what it was when I was 30. Because that's just what I've been working on. Low weights, extremely high reps, nothing under 30 reps, and then just 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, an hour on the elliptical, things like that after work. So I'm happy with my cardio, and that was the only concerns I had coming into a fight. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go right now. Cruz is a master level changing while changing. Absolutely. What's up, Boxing MMA 365? Can't hear you. I'm at a party. It's crazy. We're in for a treat tomorrow. Yes, we are. Bellator as well, 100%. All right. Talk to you later, man. He's beefing with me. That's kind of what happened. I didn't really have a problem with him. He said some things. I wasn't even going to bring it out, but then he challenged me to a fight. So, there you go. Frankie does deserve that payday. I like that, though. You don't know, none of you. My cardio is where it's at when I'll be 50. What about the picograms? You need them picos, Mike. Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to get them. Oh, Jesus. Oh, did he do a butt? Oh, my God, that is horrible. That is horrible. Don't do that, my friend. You're going to kill yourself. That's super dangerous, man. Don't be a clown. Don't be a clown for these guys for views. Oh, Jesus. MMA or not, Any world's gym. I would have never went into it, and I'm going to drop it after this, but this is what I'm going to say. And normally I wouldn't go after anybody like this. I'm a peaceful guy until you piss me off. So the reason that I came out public with it is not only because he challenged me to a fight, whatever. I would probably tell you guys and then maybe not say much of anything right before. I might record it and post it. But what happened was, there was some impatience on his part. There was we weren't working well together. I would say creative difficulties. People say a lot of times creative differences, and a lot of people use that as an excuse, but I think that's a really, really accurate way to describe that right now. And then he went after me, said some things. I said some things back. Then things that were said in confidence in business conversations, he said he was going to take online and spread it to the world. And I don't like snitches. I don't like people that talk shit about people behind their back. And I don't like people exposing private conversations. If I'm talking to you privately, me and you, not about anybody else, about me and you, that's between me and you. So that's just how I am. Jesus, Peter Ordinary. All right, back to fights. Snitch get stitches. I know you can show me. All right, let's talk Bellator just a little bit. I'm going to bring up Bellator on the screen because we're going to 11 a.m. Pacific. The main card for UFC is going to start, which means we get to do the Bellator fights too because their main card doesn't start until 7 p.m. They actually have a pretty good card. So I'm going to pull it up. Throw myself in the corner. I'm grounded in the corner. And then there you go. Let's start kind of more at the bottom of this card, though. Daniel Strauss coming back against Derek Campos. That's a great fight at featherweight. Those guys have been solid for Bellator for years. And this is the first round of the Bellator featherweight tournament. They've got some really good featherweights. They need to rebuild their lightweight division, as I mentioned earlier. But they have some very good featherweights. Also in that first round, Pat Curran and Adam Borix. Adam Borix, a 9-0 prospect. Somebody was talking about this guy earlier, 5-0 Taiwan. Claxton taking on Emmanuel Sanchez in that first round of the featherweight tournament. Emmanuel Sanchez, that dude is as tough as they come. That guy is in it to win it against anybody in that division. Then you got Sam Cecilia, 17-9 versus Pedro Carvalho in that featherweight tournament first round. All of these part of the first round of the featherweight tournament. This one, a featherweight feature fight. It's not part of the tournament, but Gaston Bolanos versus Daniel Carey. I don't think there was anybody notable on the prelims this time around. I'm just going to surf through it real quick, see if I missed anybody. James Terry, that guy's, even though he's 20-10, that guy is incredibly entertaining to watch. If you've never seen him fight, he just comes in and, I mean, it's kill or be killed. Dude just wings it until the final bell. Or until somebody gets knocked out or until he gets knocked out. And yeah, Adam Piccolotti. There you go. You got Adam Piccolotti versus Jake Smith. Not a bad fight there. Cornelia Savage also on that one. These Bellator prelims. I used to kind of make fun of them all the time. But they always end up being very good. They usually end up being better than the main card. Just really good matchmaking. A lot of times, guys that I have no idea who they are, and women, and they end up having an incredible fight. She would hit dude, Cyborg should have silent PFL. She meant that $1 million every season. Well, if she's really the highest paid woman of all time in MMA, like Scott Coker says she is, she's getting millions every single time she fights. So we'll see. I actually listened to a Foreigner CD the other day. Okay. Didn't have much music in the car, but yeah, I could do some Foreigner. All right. I'm gonna do some games on some Sundays. Not this Sunday. This Sunday is a special Sunday, and I'll talk about that. I'll let you guys know what I'm doing there in a minute. They still got Aaron Pico on ice. Yeah, for the moment, I guess. Be fun for our league. Oh, yeah, no, we're definitely going to talk some smack. You guys are all losing every single week you go against me, too. You realize that, right? That I'm obsessively competitive, and I'm breaking down every single one of your players in every matchup, and I'm going to destroy you every single week. So just know what you're in for now. Damn, that one guy had every letter alphabet in his name. That is great. Hey, I'm a serious competitor, man. I don't mess around. I do football, but it'd be me hitting all the players. All right. Challenge accepted, Peter. Jukebox Hero. That's a good one. That is a good one, man. All right. And then, of course, like I said, Ryan Bader versus... Oh, how did I miss this one? I missed this one, didn't I? Oh, no, that's the first one I said, maybe. Daniel Strauss versus Derek Campos. But Czech Congo, 30-10-2, but he's not 30-10-2 recently. And got 14 knockouts, 4 submissions, 12 decisions, been knocked out 3 times in his entire career. And 40 fights, not bad. Only submitted once ever. But look at this. Look at... You want to talk about what have you done for me lately? Since losing the King Mo Lawal in 2015, he is on an 8-fight winning streak. Who wins 8 in a row at heavyweight? Not too many people win 8 in a row at heavyweight. And both of his last losses were both to decisions. And he only has 2 losses in like his last 13, 14 fights. So, I mean, Czech Congo doing pretty good for himself, I would say. But Ryan Bader, 27-5. Now the heavyweight champion of the world. Who would ever thought we'd be saying that? Ryan Bader, the heavyweight champion of the world. Won the tournament, though, 27-5. Knocked out Fedor Emelianenko, the last emperor to win the tournament. Also beat Matt Mitrione. Beat a couple other guys. He's an impressive champion. He's very, very quick for a heavyweight. So I'm favoring Bader for that one. I kind of got to go for Congo, though, man, because the older guys. It's not like he's going to have a lot of chances left, you know? So I really am going for Czech Congo. 43 or 44 years old. I can't remember what he's up there though. That's that's George Foreman. George Foreman was the oldest heavyweight champion in boxing ever at 45 years old, and that's right in that wheelhouse. Congo by coin kick, dude, fights super dirty. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, Jesus, Peter. Congo is literally a legend of the sport. Oh, he's absolutely a legend. That guy's been in some wars. What about Czech Congo and Pat Barry? That is one of the best heavyweight fights ever. Ever. It's an absolute war. Definitely favoring Congo, says Nigel. You know, I didn't look at the odds on that one. I was looking at all the UFC odds. Did anybody see what the odds are on Congo versus Bader? And by the way, even though I can't bet in Washington State at this very moment without Bitcoin, which I don't trust, the DraftKings app is very quick for looking things up. And I'm kind of upset because I want them as a sponsor and they want to be a sponsor, but it doesn't make sense to have them as a sponsor if I can't bet. Not at all. But who does make 8 cents as a sponsor is Grubhub, guys. If you're hungry, you want pizza and beer delivered to your house right now, and you want $12 off of your first order. That's what they're giving us for the first order, $12. Joe Rogan has DoorDash as his sponsor. Joe Rogan's only giving you $5 off of your first order. I'm giving you $12 off of your first order. So I want you guys to tweet Joe Rogan and say, hey, what'd you do with my $7? Where'd the other $7 go? Joe Rogan took your $7. I don't know what he's doing with it. Maybe he's sending it to kids in the Congo. Maybe he's doing something dirty with Brendan Schaub. I don't know. No. All jokes, guys. Not really serious here. But no, they were a very good sponsor. Grubhub, they ended up getting me a brand new computer, which I'm afraid to set up until after this big pay-per-view because I don't want anything new. But yeah, they were awesome. Tony Ferguson, oh my God. That is great, MMA or nada. Did you watch Joe Rogan podcast yesterday? A Nigerian scam story was... who was it with? I must not have watched the one yesterday. I never watch it. I only listen to it. Because I listen to music and podcasts all day at work. Every day. So there's no reason for me to watch it. And Snake says, and new. I think Dustin's got a great shot, man. I really do. All over YouTube tomorrow. One of the fights of Friends guys physically assaults. Oh my God. Oh, that is great. Please do not threaten Joe Rogan on my thread. Oh, that is incredible, though. And Trevi, you didn't get the applause earlier. I didn't have it up. Thank you again for the generous donation. Zuby, some guy identified as a woman and broke records in the weightlift. Was he somebody? Did Joe Rogan have the guy who broke records in weightlifting on the show? No. Oh, use credit card or MoneyGram. Scott, not in Washington State, apparently, through Bovado at least. I tried to use a credit card to add money, and they would not allow me to. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to get like a temporary one or something. I don't know. I really wanted to put some money down on Dustin. So, when he wins tomorrow, I guess somebody else gets money. Zoltan gets money. No, I can't say that. I can't. It's hard to bet against Khabib. When somebody's never lost, it's hard. But those odds are very, very tempting. Very, very tempting. Indeed. So, yeah, should be a great card tomorrow. Like I said, don't forget tomorrow that we're starting early. You know, we're starting very early. One last thing, two last things I think I wanted to hit. But let's talk about what's going on in the 170-pound division. Let's talk about the soap opera that is Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards, and Jorge Masvidal. I mean, these guys, this is a devil's five-way right now. This is insane. So apparently, Colby supposedly has asked for too much money. Jorge Masvidal said that he was close to signing a contract, but actually that Kamaru Usman and his management are having issues with getting it done. I would love to see that fight. I think Colby should fight first, though. I think Colby, I agree with you, Zoltan. I want to see Nate versus Jorge. So, dear UFC, this is my Dear Dana letter this time. Pay these guys. Pay the bitches. I don't know how much Colby's asking for. Maybe you don't have to pay him everything he's asking for, but pay these guys like world-class athletes because they're gonna sell pay-per-views for you. Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman will sell pay-per-views. And Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, are you kidding me? That might be the biggest fight in the UFC right now without a title. Without a title. I think Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal is the biggest fight in the UFC right now. The only thing bigger of guys that are in the UFC will be when Tony Ferguson fights the winner of Dustin Poirier versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. I think Tony has really got the fans behind him. I think they're really going to come out and want to see him fight for the title. But second to that, I think Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz is just the biggest fight out there. They're all asking too much money. How much, though? I want to know how much. Somebody be public. Be public like Randy Couture did. Randy Couture, back in the day, he was beefing with the UFC. He was out for a little while we had the championship belt. And he came out in public on television and said, hey, this is how much the UFC is paying me. This is everything. This is what they're paying me for. This is my contract. This is what I'm obliged to do. And it's all out there. And Dana didn't have an issue with it at the time. I remember Dana talking about it as well. He said, hey, usually I don't talk about these things because I'm trying to protect the fighter. I think that's kind of a one-way street as far as being beneficial. Or two-way street, excuse me. But he said, now that Randy is talking about it, I'm happy to talk about what we're paying him because I think we're paying him fair. He was making a pretty good amount of money at the time, especially for way back then, but he had the right to negotiate his contract, and he did. He did a good job of negotiating his contract. But yeah, I want to know, what's Colby asking for? If he's asking for $2 million, give him $2 million. You just sold your rights for 5 years to ESPN for what, like freaking more than the entire UFC was worth? I mean, it's like $2 billion or some shit. It's a lot of freaking money. So give him a couple million. I think it's worth it. Shut up and double everyone's salary. Yeah, I don't know if you need to double everyone's salary overnight. But don't lose out on big matchups because you're penny pinching when you're running a company that's valued at $7 billion. And a company that they don't have the stars they had a few years ago. There's no Ronda Rousey. There's no Brock Lesnar. There's no George St. Pierre. There's no Conor McGregor. He's on the sideline. If and when he does ever come back, I don't think he's ever going to be the star that he was, because I think he's burned so many bridges. Khabib Nurmagomedov and Nate Diaz. Khabib Nurmagomedov, Nate Diaz, and Jorge Masvidal. Those are your stars right now. Tony Ferguson when you get him back in there. But none of their... and then Colby Covington's probably the next biggest right now because... he brings people out. He's a star because people hate him, but he brings people out. So why are you not going to pay your top guys? I'm the biggest Stipe fan out there. I'm a huge Stipe fan. He is not more marketable than any of those guys, though, because he doesn't do the media. He just doesn't talk. Doesn't talk enough. He doesn't sell his fights. Nate does. Jorge does. Colby does. So I would say pay these guys. Oh, and Nick Diaz. Yeah, if they brought Nick Diaz back, that would be awesome. Yeah, Stipe very rarely says anything. I say too, I just don't think he really cares. Well, yeah, he's also heavyweight champion of the world, MMA or not, and we also, when you have that champ money and those pay-per-view points and everything, it's a whole different story for everybody. What Nate's wanting and Jorge Masvidal are wanting And this would be almost unprecedented. Almost unprecedented. Conor and Nate did it, even though it wasn't for a belt, and they brung in big money. One of the biggest fights ever. But besides that, nobody's ever brung in the big champ money without having the strap around their waist. And that's what Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz, that's what both of these guys want to do. And I think both of these guys need to get paid. And to be honest, I'm not even interested in a Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman fight right now. Say what you want about me, but I'm not interested in a Jorge Masvidal versus Leon Edwards fight either. I'm interested in Masvidal fighting Nate Diaz. I'd be interested in seeing him fight Nick if he came back. I'd be interested in seeing him fight, like a Justin Gaethje or some of these guys that are, some of these heavy hitters. I mean, Kamaru Usman, it's just a different style of fighting. I don't think it's a good matchup for Masvidal, honestly. I think the matchup with Kamaru and Colby, who can be busier? Who is the biggest cardio machine in the UFC? It's between those two guys. It's not Nate right now because he's been away for so long. He actually got a little winded against Anthony Pettis. I think Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman are the two biggest cardio machines in the UFC today. Congo pushed Bader at the weigh-ins. Good. Build that fight up. I can't wait to see it. I hope that fight is everything we want and more. I hope it's exciting. And there you have two guys that can really wrestle, that could turn into a slug match as well, and I think it will. And like I said, that is a great card with Bellator tomorrow, that featherweight tournament. Everybody, the entire featherweight first round is tomorrow at a bunch of killers. It's their deepest division in Bellator by far. I know it doesn't seem like that's saying much, but their featherweight division is absolutely stacked. So this is going to be a great featherweight Grand Prix. Happy to see the winner of Nate and Jorge get a title shot. Oh, absolutely. Both those guys have been around forever. And I totally agree with what Nate Diaz said about, we've been around for so long, and then you see these guys come in, they're new, they win one or two fights, and they want to be a superstar. And it just doesn't work that way. You can win the belt. But you're not going to be a star because nobody knows you yet. The only guy that could do it, that could have done it on a meteoric rise, was Francis Ngannou. He ended up losing, but that's because the biggest reason is because he's a heavyweight. And then he just had these insane knockouts that bring back, memories of like a Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston, George Foreman, Deontay Wilder style slugger. And who does not like to see that? Everybody likes to see that. And when you're putting on highlight reels of knocking people unconscious, that's fight fans' favorite thing to see. I don't think that's any secret. But if you're not knocking everybody out quickly, it's going to be a little bit of a building process. Leon Edwards, don't get your panties in a bunch. You'll get there. You got no star power yet, though. And your brother definitely doesn't. UFC should make Nate versus Jorge co-main to Kumar. Kamar defending his belt. Huge night. Pay everyone. That's kind of what I was thinking. That would be great. The only problem with that is I want Nate versus Masvidal to be a 5-round fight. So somehow you have to figure out how to make that a 5-round fight. I don't really care for interim belts, but if you want to throw an interim belt out for these guys and make the excuse, Kamaru has been, he's been away so long that But that doesn't even really make sense because Colby is actually the interim champion. He never lost it anywhere. So any excuse to make that a 5-round fight, though, I'm fine. Give him the interim belt. But have him fight for the interim belt because Colby's fighting for the real belt. That's fine. And then a co-main 5 rounds, Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, and 5 rounds, Colby versus Kamaru Usman. Take my money. But I'm happy with them taking my money tomorrow. Paul Felder versus Edson Barboza. Dustin Poirier versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov and Dustin Poirier at lightweight tomorrow. We will watch. This is MMA at the absolute highest level. These guys are literally 2 of the greatest combat fighters to ever step into a cage, pound for pound. They're going to blow it away. They're legends. Khabib's going to be a legend. Dustin's well on his way. He's on a streak of just going through killers. Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, Max Holloway. Are you kidding me? I mean, if you're rating fighters between 1 to 10, it's like boom, you just beat 2 9s and a 10. Because Max Holloway's a 10. What's up, comedic genius in the house? Good to see you, man. Serious questions in a soundproof room. I am not. Do I have a lot of feedback? I'm just in my spare room, and actually the window's open, so I don't die in here. More like bulletproof. Get Askren versus Maya on the same card. Take my money. Oh, exactly. That's going to be a good one too. I think what would be great is if Maya knocked him out. Maya needs a knockout in his career before he retires. And I think he could knock Ben Askren out. I think that's how bad Ben Askren's striking is. It's the worst out of any high-level UFC fighter in the modern era. I mean, it's pitiful. It's pitiful. I would fight Ben Askren in a boxing match. And I would feel okay with my chances. I would feel like I at least wouldn't get hurt too bad. Sitting here think of really doing football games sometimes and wondering about it. Betting on football games and stuff. Yeah, comedic in the house. So Sunday. No, I will not be doing the games on Sunday. I am going to miss my Seahawks. But I am going to be in San Francisco for the opening of Chase Center as Metallica plays their 20-year anniversary concert with the San Francisco Symphony. So anybody that's going to that game, send me a message on Twitter, and if you do end up going, and we'll meet up and have a beer together or something. But those tickets were not easy to get. It wasn't so much the money, it was waiting through the second chance drawings and all this other crap just to get the chance to buy it. Oh, streaming reaction? Cool. Yeah, I always told my daughter that was her first favorite album. She's a huge Metallica fan and a huge Symphony fan. So we used to listen to that. That was one of the first. It's the first album that I really remember her getting into when she was younger. It was Metallica and the San Francisco Symphony, and we would listen to that over and over and over again. And I promised her that if they ever did it again, that we would go. So it was pretty hard to get the tickets, but 20 years later, the old man came through. Used to buy weed from Lars Ulrich in high school. I believe that, Theron Nelson. This is a great question. How many buys does UFC 242 have so far? Do you think it will do 1 million buys? What's up, Dawa? I don't know. They're not releasing any of the numbers at all, so I have no idea. I've heard that numbers are not good so far in the ESPN era. It's going to be very hard. Yeah, she was on camera a few times, Peter, when she was younger. Unfortunately, she was 14, I think, when we started the channel, 14, 15. And some ridiculous perverts had some very inappropriate things to say, so I've shielded her from the camera. We're going on about 2.5 years. I started this show April 9th of 2017. So it'll be 3 years next April. Yep, pretty much David. And David's 18 now. David starts college the end of the month. Yeah, my daughter's a senior. Oh, Jesus. Guys, please don't pick fights in the thing. And hang out with Vitor. He was doing a martial arts class at the John Barrymore Estate in Beverly Hills. Nice. Very cool. All right, guys. I'm going to get some sleep because I'm going to lay down for a few hours. Probably wake up around midnight to go into work so I'm done in time to get back for the fights as quickly as possible. But don't forget tomorrow. Of course, we can't forget. It's one of the biggest fights ever. One of the biggest stars in the UFC. Khabib Nurmagomedov makes his return against Dustin Poirier. Two of the biggest strikers in the lightweight division. Paul Felder and Edson Barboza, an incredible matchup. And then Czech Congo tries to become what I believe would be the oldest heavyweight champion ever in a major organization. And the entire featherweight Grand Prix, the first round, all on Bellator tomorrow. Yeah, and Curtis Blades versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. Abdurakhimov. There we go. That's a harder one. All right, Peter, come on. Please don't disrespect the other people. PBR Street Gang. You're a mod. You should know better than that. I'll pull your mod. Sitting next to a millionaire this whole time. All right, guys. I'm going to get to bed. Get some sleep for the fights tomorrow. Until later tomorrow, as always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses tomorrow for UFC 242.